back to Storytime at the Goochland branch. My name is Tracy Anderson, and we're going to get started with some fun stories that I have for you today. But to get going, we're going to do our opening song called Mr. Sun. And to do this, if you don't know, we're going to make a big ball of sunshine, and it's going to shine down on us. All right, if you know it, sing it along with me. All right, here we go. Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on me. Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, hiding behind a tree. These little children are asking you to please come out so we can play with you. Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on, please shine down on, please shine down on me. Very good. All right, next up we're going to do a rhyme called This Is Big. If you come to Storytime with me, you know this, but we're going to do our arms like this for big, and then this is small, this is short, and this is tall. Okay, here we go. This is big, 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 and this is small, small, small. This is short, short, short. And this is tall, tall, tall. This is fast, fast, fast. And this is slow, slow, slow. This is yes, yes, yes. And this is no, no, no. Very good. Okay, I don't know if you noticed over here, but I have something that I want to show you today. And I'm showing you this because both of our stories have this in it. This is a big pot. Some people call it a kettle. And inside I have a type of spoon. And this is called a ladle. And if you haven't guessed, a lot of times people make soup with big pots like this, especially if they're going to cook it outside. I love soup. I don't know about you, but I have a few veggies here that we typically put in soup. So I'm going to show them to you. If you know them, you can guess. This is corn. So corn can be good in soup. And this, do you know what this is? That's right, it's a potato. Potatoes are really good, but usually I cut them up. I don't put them in like that. And this is a green vegetable. I think it's a vegetable. Maybe it's a fruit. But this is a green pepper. And this is often in soup. This is an onion. This guy, this is not an apple. This is a tomato. And this is a carrot. But the first story I'm going to tell you today has something very unusual in it. And I never put this in my soup. I don't know about you. But our story today has a rock in it, or a stone. I don't think that would be very good soup, but it is a very interesting story. It's actually an old, very old folk tale from Europe, and it is about two hungry travelers that come to a village, and they are hoping that the villagers will share some food with them. So we're going to read this story. And this book right here is a retelling of it. And it's retold by Heather Forrest. And the name of this book is Stone Soup. So let's read it and see what happens. There once was a comfortable little village nestled in the mountains. The people who lived there had more than enough to keep themselves content. One day, two travelers came along. Their coats were tattered, their hats were torn, their dusty shoes had holes in the soles. Hungry and tired, one traveler said to the other, "Surely someone here can spare a bit of food." They knocked boldly on a door. It creaked open and a woman asked,
What do you want? Please, said one of the travelers, we are hungry. Do you care? Will you share? Do you have any food? The woman squinted her eyes and tartly replied, no. She quickly slammed the door shut. The travelers walked a little farther down the road and knocked on another door. A young boy answered. His chocolate brown eyes were sweet. Good day, he said shyly. What do you want? Please, said one of the travelers, we are hungry. Do you care? Will you share? Do you have any food? The boy replied, there is no food here, and closed the door. The travelers wandered wearily through the village, knocking on every door, but everywhere they heard, I don't care, I won't share, there is no food. They sat to rest beside a well. One traveler sighed and clutched his empty belly. He said, if there is really no food in this elegant little village, then the people who live here are in greater need than we are. We should make them our magical soup. The two travelers climbed up on the edge of the well and shouted, we are master cooks. If anyone in this town has a big black pot, we will make the most delicious soup anyone has ever tasted. A door slowly opened. A round man emerged carrying a gigantic black pot. I love to eat, he said. Here's a pot. Let me see what two master cooks can do with it. Watch and see, said one traveler with glee. The travelers filled the pot with cold water and built a fire. Soon the flames licked the sides of the pot and billows of steam rose into the air. Curious people began to gather. What is happening? The townspeople asked. We are making an unusual soup, said one of the travelers. It requires a special magical ingredient. I am certain we will find it in this town. All eyes in the crowd watched as one of the travelers reached down and picked up an ordinary stone. He tossed it into the pot with a splash. We're making stone soup, he said. It will be nutritious, delicious, incredible, and edible. But it would taste better, he paused and sighed, if only we had a carrot. Where would we find a carrot in this town? The other traveler asked. We knocked on every door and everywhere we heard, I don't care, I won't share, there is no food. Then perhaps we cannot make the delicious soup after all, they both announced with a sad shrug of their shoulders and began to turn away. A child timidly raised her hand and said, Wait, I might have a small carrot. Excellent, shouted the travelers. Bring what you've got. Put it in the pot. We're making stone soup. This magical soup would taste even better if we had a potato, they added. A deep voice in the back of the crowd called out, I have a potato. Wonderful, shouted the travelers. Bring what you've got. Put it in the pot. We're making stone soup. It would taste better still, they said, if we had just a few more ingredients. Perhaps, said one villager, I could bring a green bean. Well, said another, if you're going to bring a green bean, I will bring a kernel of corn. I shall not be outdone, cried another. I will bring an egg noodle. One by one, voices announced, I will bring a slice of celery. I will bring a pinch of pepper. I can bring a sprig of parsley. I might have a tiny turnip." "Well, why are you waiting?" cried the travelers. "Bring what you've got. Put it in the pot. We're making stone soup." Everyone in the town ran home to bring one small thing to put in the pot. Food flew through the air and landed with splashes in the growing soup. Soon the huge pot was full and simmering. A wonderful smell drifted through the air. The smell was so tempting. People brought out bowls and spoons, chairs and tables. They placed hearty loaves of bread, chunks of cheese, and bowls of fruit on the tablecloths. Everyone came to taste the soup and marveled at the flavor. "It's amazing," said one woman. "These two travelers made such a delicious soup out of a stone." "Out of a stone," said the travelers with a grin, "and a magical ingredient: sharing." As the travelers left the town, they said, "If anyone ever wants to make this soup again, just remember the recipe. Bring what you've got. Put it in the pot. Every bit counts, from the largest to the least. Together, we can celebrate a stone soup feast." How to make your own stone soup.
So what do you think about that magical soup? I don't know about making soup with a stone, but give it a try at home. It might just be delicious. This was a fascinating story, and what I really loved about it is what we could learn about when we share and we all come together and bring what we have to make everything a little bit better. Stone soup. I hope you enjoyed it. All right. Next up, let's do a little song that we do sometimes called Wind the Bobbin Up. And to do this, we're going to do our arms around, our hands around like this to wind the bobbin up. And then we're going to pull, pull, clap, clap, clap. Then do your hands in the reverse. Wind it back again. Wind it back again. Pull, pull, clap, clap, clap. Then we're going to point to the ceiling and point to the floor, point to a window and point to a door. Clap your hands together. 1, 2, 3. Then put your hands on your knee. All right, it goes like this. If you know it, sing it with me. Here we go. Wind the bobbin up, wind the bobbin up, pull, pull, clap, clap, clap. Wind it back again, wind it back again, pull, pull, clap, clap, clap. Point to the ceiling, point to the floor, point to a window, point to the door. Clap your hands together, 1, 2, 3. Now put your hands on your knee. Very good. Okay, I'm so excited to share the next book with you. I want to tell you a little bit about this book. It is called Miss Twiggley's Tree, and it's by Dorothea Warren Fox. This book was one of my favorite books as a little girl. My mom had signed me up to a mail book club or whatever, and so I would get a new book in the mail, which was super exciting, probably every month or a couple of months, and this was one of the books that I got. I loved it so much that I actually memorized it. But I'm going to read it for you in just a little bit. This book I just recently found again, and it has a little note in here about what inspired the author to write this. And it was actually a tree in her neighborhood and a tree house that her boys had built. But this is a great story about a little woman named Miss Twiggley. and Miss Twiggley was really shy and lived in a tree, and people really didn't like her because she didn't visit with them and so forth. But when push comes to shove and an emergency happened, Miss Twiggley came through. So let's read Miss Twiggley's Tree.
Funny Miss Twiggley lived in a tree with a dog named Puss and a color TV. She did what she liked, and she liked what she did. But when company came, Miss Twiggley hid. It's not that I do not like people, said she, but one gets a bit shy when one lives in a tree. She named her dog Puss. He didn't mind that. My very best friend, he said, is a cat. Old Miss Twiggley was friendly with bears. They shed on the sofa, she said, but who cares? They don't find me odd, and I'm grateful for that. I don't think they'd mind if I slept in my hat. And just to be sure, she slept in her hat. She slept in her hat, but she made up her bed, and she swept and she dusted until the bears said they were thoroughly tired of being so neat and refused when she asked them to hold up their feet. Now, Puss was clever, a smart dog indeed. He did the shopping for things they would need: groceries, clothing, and tools for repairs, bones for himself, and jam for the bears. But whenever he shopped for Miss Twiggley's meals, the town dogs teased and snapped at his heels. So poor Puss shivered, as scared as could be, and he hurried back home to his safe and sound tree. Miss Twiggley and Puss were happy up there, high above the ground, in a house in the air. Simply disgraceful, said the people in town, to live in a tree and never come down. The wife of the mayor was maddest of all. To not be at home when I come to call is unforgivable. And besides that, I have been told she sleeps in her hat. My husband must know of a town law, said she, against things of that kind going on in a tree. She marched to the mayor. Now what can you do? That house in the tree is spoiling our view. Miss Twiggley's a nuisance. No town should allow a person to hang up her wash on a bough. The smoke from her chimney is causing a smog, and she lives, so they say, with some bears and a dog. The poor mayor sighed. My dear, I agree, but more pressing problems are bothering me. The weather report says it's going to rain. I fear we are in for a wild hurricane. It did rain for a week and a month and a day. The wind blew a gale and the bridge washed away. The town was cut off, its people afloat. Whatever went by, they used for a boat. The road and the meadow were one stormy sea, and right in the middle stood the house in the tree. Old Miss Twiggley had battened her hatches and checked her supply of tea and dry matches. String up some hammocks, she called to the bears. Puss, you build platforms for spare beds and chairs. We may have some callers, and wet ones at that. I'll change the bows on my best sleeping hat. I'll get right to work on a big pot of stew. To be sure there'll be plenty to feed quite a few. She put on the kettle and buttered some bread. Now let them all come. I'm ready, she said. They're coming, called Puss, who perched way up high, holding a spyglass close to his eye. Ahoy, called the mayor. Miss Twiggley, yoo-hoo! Is there room in your house for a wet friend or two? There's room for you all, Miss Twiggley replied. Climb up where it's warm. Come up and be dried. They hauled up the mayor and the chief of police and sweet Trudy Wilmot, the groceryman's niece. Pigs came in their trough. A wet mother cat arrived with her kittens aboard a straw hat. The dogs of the town came swimming right up, big dogs and small dogs and one frisky pup. But plump Mrs. Honk was afraid of the stairs, and little Joe Pettibone didn't like the bears. Don't fret, Mrs. Honk, Miss Twiggley said. You won't mind the height when you're tucked into bed. And Joe, my big bears are as tame as can be. They don't spill a crumb when I ask them to tea. In the very last boat, bedraggled and wet, was the wife of the mayor, looking upset. She felt so ashamed of the words she had said when her hostess declared, "I've fixed you my bed." Miss Twiggley's new friends were cozy and warm, sheltered and fed and out of the storm. Though the wind made the rain go splittery-splat, the mayor's wife slept, safe and sound, in the hat. Old Puss, once so shy, forgot all his fear. The town dogs were fun. He was glad they were here. They pretended the house was like Noah's Ark. They played games and sang till long after dark. Now the town folk were glad, just as pleased as could be, that funny Miss Twiggley lived in a tree. And Miss Twiggley found out something wonderful too. When emergencies come, you don't think about you. You help all you can, and you never ask why. Then the first thing you know, you forget to be shy.
I hope you love this book as much as I did when I was a little girl, and still do. Okay, that's all the time we have for story time today, but we're going to end with our goodbye song with a little sign language. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye. All right, let's sing it. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.